been watching like old classic films since I was like little, and like because my parents would force me, and we weren't allowed like any like computers or phones. We were only allowed to watch movies on Friday nights and Saturday nights. Having the lack of all that media, especially when I was young, helped me with like creativity. Classic Hollywood is like what I want to do. I want to work with Tom Hanks. Working with Tom Hanks would be kind of cool. So I did 2 weeks in Vancouver working on my dad's movie Welcome to Marwin with Steve Carell. I was like a PA to the PA. So one of the big things that he told me was just kind of like, you need to know everything. You can't just kind of like, if somebody asks you a question, you can't just be like, I don't really know. Like, that's when the crew loses its trust in the director, is if you kind of don't know. And even if you don't know, you kind of have to just say something. The film industry is very luck-based. You can do all this and still not get lucky, or you could do this and then you have your like lucky break.
Rhys, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, how would you describe yourself as a filmmaker?
Yeah, we just had to like write this down for the 480 applications. I put like collaborative, I think. That's like number one thing for me is collaboration. I love being a team player. So, you know, when it comes to filmmaking, I just always want to like collaborate with the people around me. And because I don't know, I feel like I like to like surround myself with like my crew. It's like, you know, the people who are helping me on a film. It's like it's like also just like friends. I want to be like their friend. So it's like I try not to work with like, I mean, I'm also like super open to like working with like people who I've never met before, but I really like to work with like people who I've like worked with and I know personally.
Yeah.
Because I think that like, it's just so much more fun to collaborate with, and like I really understand them and they understand me, and it's just kind of like we got this great back and forth going.
That's awesome.
Like Danny and Alex and like 310 and then now. So.
Yeah, and you're primarily like a movie director, or is there any other fields you're into?
Yeah, I think I want to be like a feature director. It was cool though. For 294, I did documentary, which was cool experience. Documentaries are fun, but I feel like I want to do more like, you know, feature directing.
Feature directing, narrative, yeah. And just going back in time a little bit, like walk us through how you first got into filmmaking and what the journey's been like so far before you came to USC.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in like a big, you know, film family. Like, we've always grown up just like watching old classic films, like I was saying, and like, I think that's kind of just like ever since I was little, it's just always been like something that I've been around, and so that's kind of what like got me really interested in it, especially like, you know, being on sets and stuff and like just shadowing people and just like seeing that experience. It's been like always been something that I've like found so much fun, and like especially watching old classic films and being like, well, why do I like this film so much? How can I make a film that like has this type of effect on people? I don't know. I think that is kind of, it was just a combination of like being around that world, but then also, you know, watching a lot of films. Yeah. I think that's like with like a lot of people, you know, similarly they like watch something that inspires them. But it's been like I've been watching like old classic films since I was like little, and like because my parents would force me, and I think that like and I think that like, you know, like I'm so grateful for that, because then I feel like I just have such a wide range of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. What are like 2 hidden gems you would say from like the classical era that people don't watch that you would recommend?
There's like John Wayne, like not the westerns, like when he started doing like World War II movies.
Right.
So I don't even know if I'll list off a few, but I don't know. There's like there's The Longest Day, Bridge Over the River Kwai, which is more famous. Bridge Over the River Kwai is really good. Like I just saw like Battle of the Bulge. Like these are like I loved. And then I grew up watching this like old TV show that my dad grew up watching called Combat, which is like black and white. It's so like looking back at it now, it's like so cheesy, but that's like the type of stuff that like really was like what got me really interested in it. And then there was like The Eagle Has Landed. I don't know if that one's, I think 70s, but that one's really fun too. So it's just like those old kind of goofy like World War II movies where it's like over dramatized and like you wouldn't say they're like super realistic, and like the plots are super dramatic, but I think that those are like some of those old hidden gems that like what really got me interested in it.
Yeah, and how do you think those movies like influence your work in like 310 or other projects that you do today?
I mean, they definitely have influenced them because I think, you know, when I was younger and I'd watch those movies, I'd like want to go out with like with my like brother and their friends and like film and like make movies that are like that, where it's just like, you know, like just like ridiculous, kind of goofy, just like people running around shooting each other, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think that like into, you know, 310 and like 480, I've kind of like with my 310, I've kind of like loved the theme, like the kind of like the theme of like a more like military themed, you know, just like something out of the norm. I feel like my 310 could have worked like at like a NASA, you know, space station or whatever, but it was like I want to do like nuclear silo. And I thought that like, I don't know, and like with my 480, which is like not really like, it's not historical, but just kind of like on the theme of like ridiculous fun. So that's kind of like, it definitely is just like influenced like the type of films that I like, the ones that I want to watch, I want to make. So it's like ridiculous fun, just like a lot of like action and fun.
Do you remember like the first ever movie you were shown?
The first one I remember is Singing in the Rain.
Okay.
The Sound of Music. And then like the Disney classics. Like
Oh,
Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, those type of movies.
Did you grow up like watching like cartoons, or was it mostly like TV, like movie, like cinematic?
No, when I grew up, me and my siblings weren't allowed to like, this is like for like honestly a big portion of like my young life, but like not when I got into like middle school, then it kind of like whatever, but we weren't allowed like any like computers or phones. We were only allowed to watch movies on Friday nights and Saturday nights because we wouldn't have school the next day. And on Sunday in the morning for 20 minutes, we were allowed 20 minutes of like YouTube, you know, each. So we'd all sit around the computer in the kitchen and we'd watch 20 minutes each. And that was like kind of all I could see. Like that's all like I couldn't like watch it during school, like, but yeah, that like for like growing up in like a movie family, like we weren't really we didn't watch a lot of, and it was funny because we had to like, I have two siblings, I have a sister and a brother, and so we had to like, I couldn't be the one choosing all the movies on like Saturdays, so there'd be like a lot of weekends where I'd be like watching like Frozen so many times. And so I don't know, it was like but I think that helped me like have like a wide like a variety. I mean, because like I still ended up watching all like the Disney princesses that like maybe I wouldn't have if I like I could choose all the ones. So I'm happy that it all worked out.
When you were watching these movies, like were you like just watching it, or like was your family like breaking it down or anything like that?
No, it was just kind of watching them until like, you know, I started to get interested in like wanting to make films and like wanting to like go to film school and stuff. Then I would ask more questions about like the breaking down of films. But for my young like childhood of just watching movies, it was just like just watching the movies. And then I'd always just like, and I would like never really write scripts. I would just kind of like go outside with like my camera to like want to like recreate it and just and that kind of stuff. So
Dude, that's sick. Was it like ever like, did you ever feel like, because you had a lot of rules like on watching what you could watch, like did you ever feel rebellious about that, or like you wanted to go against what you were told to watch?
Like to go like sneak and watch movies?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think I even could have, because like if I like snuck into like the family room and like I don't even think I even knew how to like put on the movie. I just like they like put on a movie and then but also like it wasn't until like I think 5th or 6th grade where like I got like my computer. So then like obviously when I got my computer, then I'd be like rebellious, like late at night I'd be like watching like movies and YouTube and stuff. But up until then it's like I just kind of like, all right, it's Friday night, I'm gonna watch a movie. It's Saturday night, and then the rest of the week is just like. But I think that really helped with like building creativity, because you know I'd watch stuff on the weekend, and then I'd have the whole week to just like think about, maybe I'd like look forward to the next weekend, but then I'd also like it would make me think about like it'd make me come up with like my own stories, I think. And I think if I was just, you know, consuming like watching movies all the time, like maybe I'd have like a wide film. I mean, I still like watch a lot of movies, but like, yeah, maybe I'd like have seen like tons of movies, but then I feel like I wouldn't have like thought of like my own ideas, I think, and like tried to like just like be creative about that. So I think that having the lack of, all that media, especially when I was young, helped me with like creativity. I think that's important.
Yeah, and like when you were starting out, was there like a specific like craft element that really drew you in, like cinematography or directing and writing, or maybe a combination of all three? Because I feel like when we start, we're like a one person band anyways. But was there like a specific craft that you were like really interested in over the others?
Yeah, like what you said, like you do end up being an all-man band, but definitely like the things that I was the most interested in were writing and directing. I really liked writing just because like it's like you can make the story, and then directing I really liked, having like the creative control and just, really envisioning things. But I've never really been interested in cinematography.
Oh, okay.
I know you're big at that. So
I do
I think I'm on the same page. I tried cinematography and it was fun, but I think like in the future as a career, I don't see myself like being that hands-on with the camera and lighting and stuff.
yeah, it's fun. I know it's definitely fun. I DP'd Alex's film, and that was like a fun experience. But I just don't think that I like have. I don't know. I think you need to be a little bit like technical.
Yeah, that's what I realized.
Yeah, it's like you can't just like.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I'd realize like because when Alex was DPing Danny's 310, he would be saying all these like technical things about like, whatever f-stop and whatever that means and all that kind of stuff. And then when I would like do it, I was so happy that I had Alex as a director, because then he'd like look over my shoulder and be like, whatever. But, but when it was just me, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, this looks good. What do you mean? Like, look through the little screen. It looks good. Right. And then he'd be like, well, you gotta like the white balance, this and that. And I'm like, and then he would change it. I'm like, oh, like it looks better. And then for me, I was just like, I don't know. Like, for me, it was just like set it up and it's like, okay, that's cool. But I think that I really like composing the shots and like really like figuring that out.
Right.
And I think that I can still do that as like I could do that as a director.
Right.
But that I don't need to worry about like the technical part about like, okay, I know where I want to put the camera, I know what I want it to look like, but I don't know how to like get it to that point. But like that's what I want it to look like. So then DP, can you please help me out? That's like how I like would operate.
Well, because I know that you're like big into storyboarding too. Like you kind of see the whole film before it's even shot, right?
Yeah, I love storyboarding. I think it's just so important. I think I also I like to draw. And like when I was a little kid, I'd always like draw and like make little cartoons and like comics. So I really like that. But I also like when I think of a movie, especially if it's a movie that I've written or I'm like planning to direct, I definitely like feel like I envision it, and helping me storyboard it. Like while I'm storyboarding, I don't need to know like what's next, but when I'm like writing each little square and then I figure out where I want to go, and I think that helps a lot. Because I did that for my 310. I did the entire thing storyboarded, and then on like these pieces of paper, and then I would like go to Alex and be like, so what do you think this is? Like a wide shot? Like what lens do you think this is? And he would just like look at the comics and be like, oh, I think that's
funny.
That's really awesome. And like talk a little bit more about like how you go about collaborating with your DP or even other people and like other HODs in your film. Like you talked about how writing and directing is your main craft. How do you go about collaborating with, Alex or others to bring your vision to life and like building that trust that they're able to, elevate the film through their cinematography or through their production design or through their editing, etc.?
Yeah, it's definitely just like a lot of communication. I mean, for my film, and for like all of my 310s, like with Danny's and stuff, like we made it a big important thing that like we would meet a lot and we would just talk about things. Like there were so many times where I'd be like at Ministry of Coffee with like Danny when she was like doing like the producing and Alex, and we'd just be like going over the shot list, and then like it wouldn't be just like all right, like now we go off and do our own thing. It's like, all right, like come back tomorrow and we're gonna like do figure out more. So I think that just like communicating with each other, really under like to not like a way like if there's any questions, there's not gonna be questions on the day that you film. But also like I really like hearing his input, and also like Alex is a great DP, so it's like I wanna hear his input. And so I think just like really communicating and just like meeting a lot, I think, is what I like to do, because I also like I feel like sometimes like when, especially like when I'm directing and it's like a big duty that I feel like I have, like I really want everyone to be on the same page, because then it makes like it like puts me at ease. Otherwise, then I'm just like, freaking out, whatever. So it's like if I'm meeting multiple times and just like going over the same thing and just making sure that like we all understand what we're doing, just like to the point where like maybe it's like annoying, but I think that's like super important. That way like everyone understands each other. But that's really just like meeting and just talking with them is like how because I'm not, I feel like for me at least, it doesn't work for me to be like, this is what I want, like let's make that. But it's like, this is what I envisioned, what do you envision? And then if he's like, oh, I envisioned that, then it's like, all right, like how do we get there? Or if he's like, I know, I really thought that this, and it's like, okay, like let's talk about that. And then like maybe, and then oh, like he was right, like that does look cooler, like he's a DP, he knows what he's doing. So it's like so it's like that's how I like to work.
What age do you think you were when you realized that you wanted to make this like a career for yourself?
Like sometime in middle school, but it's so interesting because like I don't know, like what age do kids normally like start thinking about careers? Like what?
Well, I think like people fantasize about it, like even
what they're interested
like a
in.
dream job or like a dream.
Like I want to be a soccer player.
Soccer player,
yeah,
or
true.
maybe even astronaut. That used to be mine. Yeah, just stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely like. I mean, I also had that phase where like I wanted to be like a soccer player and like a football player or whatever. Where I was like when I was super young, but then I was like, I don't know. I think sometime like late in middle school is when I was like I really like movies. I've like been around them. I've been around that world. It's like, how can I go into that world, because it's something that I'm super interested in. So middle school, but I didn't really start like it was like in high school is when I really started to like be like, okay, like how can I like get to this? How can I end up doing this? Like I want to do this, and how can I do it? And I was like, maybe I can't be a soccer player.
Were your parents always like super supportive of you being a movie director? Or
my parents they're super supportive about like anything that we wanted to do. And like my parents also like really like talk about like they don't want us to do what like they're doing, or they don't want us to like go into a like career that like just for them or whatever. So if like if I came to my parents and I said I wanted to do like X, Y, and Z like random, like they would be like fully supportive of that.
Yeah.
And then when I go to them, I'm like, oh, I want to be a filmmaker. Like they're also super supportive of that. So like they're really just
nice.
Like open to like whatever we want to do, which is fun. Which I guess it's lucky for them that like all their kids are interested in film. So
what do you think you'd be doing like if you didn't do film?
Oh, that's a good question. If I wasn't doing film, I've always thought about this, but I don't know if it's because I've been around film that I think like this. Like if I wasn't doing film, I'd want to do something in like, but I guess it's still in film. Like I'm talking like about like composing or like I don't know. I don't even know how to read music, but I know. But I really like love scores, and I love like orchestral scores and stuff, and with like Mick, and like I really wanted to like do that, and I love like John Williams and those type of stuff. So, but then I guess that's to your point about like that is kind of film. So I don't know. And maybe I wouldn't even be interested in that if I wasn't interested in film. But if I wasn't like interested in directing, I'd want to get into like composing. Even though I don't know anything about music. But I know, but I really like music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you talk about being able to go on sets and shadowing when you were younger, right? Like, where are some of like the coolest sets you've been on where you got a shadow and stuff?
I've grown up on like I've been on a lot of like my dad's sets, but it'd be a lot of like in and out. Like I'd like visit because a lot of the time it's like in London or in Canada, and I had school, so I can't like spend a lot of time. But there was a time where my eighth grade class went to Peru for because we did like an eighth grade trip.
Yeah.
And for some reason I just like wasn't feeling like Peru, and so instead what I did was I spent, because it was a 2-week trip, so I did 2 weeks in Vancouver working on my dad's movie Welcome to Marwin with Steve Carell, and that was I think I was like a PA to the PA, which and because so it was just like super just like getting coffees and stuff, but it was just being around that was just a lot of fun.
Nice.
Especially because Welcome to Marwin's like a movie that's like a mix between like it's about like Barbie dolls and GI Joes
Okay.
mixed in like with like mocap. So it was
Right.
like mocap. It was cool because there'd be like a lot of stages were like mocap stages, but then there'd be also because it was like a hybrid where he goes from like the real world into through his mind is like into like the world of like the dolls because he makes like his own little village, but it's like a World War II village. So it's like I got like the mix of all the perfect things that I really wanted. Was
That's
like
so sick.
I
That's
saw
really cool.
mocap, I saw like real sets, and then I saw like World War II stuff. So it was like
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
That sounds awesome. And like, did you work on here at all, or were you ever on set for that?
No, was I on set? No, I wasn't on set. I wasn't on set for here, because I was in college. That's what I was like.
right,
I was like,
okay.
that's why, because I was in college, so I couldn't go away for that, and it was filming in England, so
Right,
I
okay.
couldn't be on set for here, but I go to his office a lot, and like
Yeah.
it's really cool to see like the post production world of that. So
Is
Yeah.
the office like in your house or?
no, it's near where I live, but it's like it's like the post production office with like the editing rooms and all that kind of stuff.
wow.
So
Yeah.
and that's always fun to like, and like to the point about storyboarding, like for here they did a lot of like like little note cards, and then like he'd like move them around to
wow.
like because it bounces in here. I don't know if you've seen it. It like changes from like
Yeah,
different
like different time
periods.
periods, different like seasons.
So it was kind
Must
of
be
like
really intricate.
moving it around, different colors for each
Yeah.
like
Oh, that's
decade
sick,
and
yeah.
stuff.
I think that one also had like really cool effects as well, like
Yeah.
the aging and all that.
Yeah, that was a
Mm-hmm.
big like a big thing.
Yeah.
That was a big like discussion. They were talking about the like the de-aging thing. I don't know how it works, but it looked cool. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Going back to like your journey so far at USC, like what has it been like going into like a school where people are always working together and generating ideas and making films? Like what has that been like to make that leap from being a high school student to like a committed film student like everyone in the school?
Yeah, it's like I think it's so much better. I mean, like in like all of our classes that we have, I think like I've been in 3 classes where the teachers at the end of the year, the teachers say like look to the left and to the right of you, like
Yeah.
these people
Yeah.
are going to be, and it's like I think that that's like the most important thing. For me, it's like walking away from film school with like a group of like people and just knowing people who like are gonna be in the film industry doing one thing or another. Like people go to film school to like want to like, direct and produce, and it's like even if they don't end up doing that, they're gonna end up in the film industry some way.
Yeah.
So it's just having, and it's super inspiring to like see the professors who like are USC alums, and they talk about like bringing guests who are USC alums, and they talk about like other teachers who are USC and like how they know people, and I think that that's like the big thing. And that's like to your point about like the collaborating, and like that's like being around like a bunch of like-minded individuals about like film, I think is the most like the best thing that I'm gonna like walk away with is like like it doesn't matter, like I think that like you're like 310 and like 480, it's like that's important too, but I think that like walking away with like if I need a producer, I'm gonna hit them up. If I need a cinematographer, if like they want me like to write something, like I want to be like an option for someone to like so like that's I think is like the most important thing.
Nice.
absolutely.
And I wonder, like, how come you transferred into USC? What were you doing after high school?
I was the Trojan transfer, so I did my first year at Santa Barbara City College. I did all my Gs,
Gotcha.
and then I came here, and part of me was like upset that I was like sad that I was missing my freshman year. But like now looking back,
Yeah.
it's like having like all my Gs done.
Yeah,
was,
that's
like,
true.
That's really nice.
Having all my Gs done, it's like I feel like I don't know. You were here freshman year, like I feel like I didn't like. Did you like? Well,
It's a lot of Gs, yeah.
And it was like the film was like 280
didn't
or no
do
180. That was like your iPhone movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I spent that year at City College like going to Santa Barbara City College, like coming back doing the homework and like watching like a movie. Sometimes I would like watch like 2 movies. Sometimes I would watch like 2 movies a night.
Wow.
Just because it was like I was watching a lot of movies. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
What made you like choose like USC film school? Or did you ever look at other film schools or?
You know, I was applying to a bunch, and you know, I was looking at, is it Tisch? The New York.
New York.
The New York.
Yeah.
I was like halfway through writing my like resume, and I was like, if I get in, like, do I want to go to New York?
All the way, yeah.
Like, if I get in, like, like if I don't go to USC, if I don't get into USC, and if I get into NYU, it's like, I think I would just do the City College route again and then reapply to USC because I think USC's always been like the school that I've wanted to go to, especially because like I've grown up going to the football games. We would go to a football game a year, the one around Thanksgiving, so it's either like UCLA or Notre Dame.
Right, yeah.
And so just grew up doing that. Like I always like we always had like USC stuff around the house.
Oh, that's
and so it's like
awesome,
USC film school is like the one I always like wanted to go to.
Mm-hmm. And like speaking about your siblings, because your older brother Zane's in film as well. Is your sister, is she in film or?
She's graduating high school right now.
Okay.
She doesn't want to go to college. She's interested in acting.
Oh, that's
so
sick.
so she's been doing a lot of acting, up in Santa Barbara with like UCSB and Santa Barbara City College. Because Santa Barbara City College actually has like a big film program.
Okay.
Surprisingly, it's like really so she's been doing that. So she wants to get into acting, and then obviously Zane, my older brother, he's doing 450 next semester.
Yes, that's great. And you guys been like working together since like your guys were children.
Yeah, we've always been like we've always been like making like the iMovies.
Yeah,
the iMovie films together, and like we always like talk about our ideas and stuff. And like he crewed on my 310, and I behind the scenes photographer at his 310. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's sick.
Like working with him and stuff.
And like when you were growing up, you were, on these sets and meeting a lot of really cool people, especially in Hollywood. Like, what do you think is a common misconception that like the public has about Hollywood celebrities that a lot of times, it might not be true from your point of view?
I don't know. I think that like it's easy for people to like speculate things and like be like, oh, like, big Hollywood, whatever, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But I don't know. From what I've experienced, and like honestly, I haven't like spent like enough. Like, I haven't spent like quality time with like I've like met, but I haven't like spent like a lot of like quality time with like, like Hollywood actors and stuff. But to me, they seem like normal and just like not.
Yeah.
I think that also like maybe like. It's like people don't really understand the Hollywood world, that like people are like just making movies for a living. And I think that like people, especially like, who aren't like in the LA world where it's like super common in LA to like go somewhere and see like a celebrity, but like if you're not like in that type of world, it's like being like, okay, like these, actors and directors and stuff, they're making like all this because they're making like a movie. Like I don't understand that. But
for you, like what are some dream actors you'd want to work with like in your career?
I want to work with Tom Hanks. Working with Tom Hanks would be kind of cool. Denzel Washington would be kind of cool. It's so interesting because like I'm so bad with like actors names and like all that kind of like directors names and stuff. But I could like if I like see them, I'm like, oh, I recognize them from this, but it's like I don't know what their name is. But yeah, like Robert Pattinson would be cool. Ooh, directing a Batman movie would be really fun. Yeah, that would be like that. Making like a Batman movie would be like one of my top things.
I'd watch that. Absolutely.
I think I heard that they're like there's some changes being made about the next one, like the sequel to
the sequel to
Robert Pattinson.
Batman.
Yeah, because they have like different schedule conflict, so maybe they need someone to step in. So
gosh, might have to. Do you know who like the villain of that one would be?
What was the second one? I'm actually not sure. I think it's like a group, like a group villain, like not an individual. I forget the name, but it's like a.
Because the first one was.
It was the Riddler, yeah.
And the Penguin was in there too.
The Penguin was in there for a bit, yeah.
But it was like more like a mafia movie. That movie was cool because it was like a gangster. It was like a mafia movie.
Yeah,
mafia,
like,
noir, action, everything.
That's why I love the Batman movies, because it's like Batman's like he's not like a superhero, and like the world is just so much more like grounded. But like he's so cool.
Yeah, dude, is that like, would you want to make a superhero thing?
No, I wouldn't. If I were to make a superhero movie, it'd be something like the Batman, where it's like
Okay.
not like a guy flying around with like powers, where it's more like a vigilante type of superhero. Because
Okay,
that's like,
yeah.
because that's like more like grounded in like reality. And I
Right.
like that type of stuff.
What's something that when you were little that you believed about like the film career or industry that you stopped believing now?
It's harder than it like seems.
Yeah.
That like, you know, at first glance you could be like, oh, it can't be that hard to like direct a movie or like write a movie. Writing is so much harder than you'd think. Like, oh my, it's so hard to. I like how I struggle so much with writing, but it's also like to just like sit down and actually just like open up final drafts and start writing is like the hardest part.
Right.
But once you get going, I guess you get going. But I guess one thing that I like just came to realize is like it's so much harder than like you would think. But
I mean, dude, your writing in your 310 was like amazing. Like the dialogue was so
I
good.
tried to keep it like realistic and like snappy and that kind of stuff. Like, but thank you.
I definitely can see kind of like the classic influence, you know, of those movies.
Yeah, I like classic Hollywood is like what I'm like what I want to do.
That's sick. Like bring it back, you know.
You know, and, yeah.
Howard Hawks and
Right.
other dialogue. Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of like, I guess 310 and like moving forward, like you mentioned how like it's more difficult than we imagined, and I think that's true for me as well. I think at some point I also realized that there was a period where I was just kind of having fun and thinking it was easy, and then treating it as a career is a lot more difficult than it is. Like, what are like 3 things that you tell yourself to like keep the level of like confidence and also motivation to like keep creating, even though, you know, a lot of times in this industry, a lot of times you like get no's over yeses. Like, how do you keep yourself motivated and also consistent with putting out work?
Yeah, I think, I mean, what I do is I just keep trying and keep going, because I mean what you said about like the no's, there's gonna be a lot of no's, but all you need is like one yes. But I also think that like, you know, from what I've learned, kind of like growing up and like talking to people who've, you know, been in the film industry, it's like I've learned that the film industry is kind of like like it's very luck based, and it's like you can do all this and still not get lucky, but or you could do this and then you have your like lucky break. And I think that like you're not gonna get that lucky break if like you're not putting stuff out there and like keep doing stuff. So for me, it's just kind of like, it's just, I know that like there's only so much that you could kind of control in it, and that's just like how much you put in, and then the rest is just kind of like, you know, you could put in a lot and maybe it'll take 10 years and then you'll get your first luck, like, you know. But I guess just like keep, you know, just relentless working. And one thing that I'm not good at, I still need to like do, is like just keep writing. And I think that like it's something that I struggle with, is like being like, okay, like I'm gonna sit down and write, and like whatever I write right now is gonna be like this, like great, it's gonna be like and it's like it just won't. And I need to like kind of like realize that and just keep, you know, write that and then write the next one and then, you know, keep it going. But I think that it's just like you got to keep putting yourself out there. But I also think you got to keep meeting people too, because I don't know, I think the film industry is like a super like connection based industry. And so it's like, I was just talking to one of my friends about this. It's like I feel like you're especially when you start meeting people, it's like you're only one connection away from like meeting somebody who you want to get close to. You're only like one connection away, and if they're not, they're one connection away. So it's like a tight net, especially with like USC, to the point about like after graduation, like like what I was saying about like, you know, the people that you meet, it's like in the future they might be one connection. They might be working for somebody who's working for someone who, if you get your chance to meet with that person, like that could be your lucky break. And so just like meeting new people and putting yourself out there is what keeps me going, and just like trying to just, you know, help out people as much and just like be like a nice person for them. And then like, because you never know who, you know, they might know, you never know who, like, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, having like people who like you can rely on, they can rely on, I think is like, because the rest is like that's like the stuff that you can control. The rest is just kind of like you've done all you can do. Now it's just like you got to just keep trying, and then you'll get your lucky break. But I think that the stuff that you can control is just like your attitude and your effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you go about like keeping that connection and that close like net of people that you can work with like down the line? And like the USC itself is already so huge, and I think once we step out of it, it's even gonna get bigger. Like the pool of people who are working in this industry. So how do you like go about creating your own community of like a tight knit of like maybe 20 to 50 or maybe even somewhere around that range of people that you really want to work with like down the line?
Yeah, I mean, you just like for me at least, I just like I just become I want to become friends with them, and it's like not I don't want to become friends with them just because like what can they offer me, but it's like I want to become friends with them, and like I know that they're talented individuals, and it's like I like to be around other people who are like talented and like driven and stuff, and I think that that is like just keeping that a tight net, and just like I don't know, I think you kind of like reflect the like from the people like you're around. I think there's like a saying for that. I don't know what it's called. It's like you are
the like closest
five people
that you hang out or closest
yeah,
to,
yeah, it's like that. So it's just kind of like I want to be around people who like are like working hard and like trying to like like just putting themselves out there, because then it makes me want to do that too. And so just staying friends with those people and just like helping them out on their stuff, and them and inviting them to help me on my stuff. And it's just kind of like once that kind of starts to happen, you start to like that's when I think for me at least I start building my friend group, is just like, or building the people I want to work with, is just like working on them, working on their stuff, and then them working on mine, and then I'm making something else. It's like I want them to come back on mine, and because it's like I had a great time working with them the first time, so it's like I want to work with them, and then it just makes like you build a group of people who you want to be in a working relationship with.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think it is that makes you feel like fulfilled in life?
Doing something that makes me like happy, I guess, like
making films,
yeah. Or just like doing stuff that like I enjoy, and like being able to do that makes me feel fulfilled.
Nice. Yeah. What's the next project? Because I know you're directing the 480. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I don't know if you know. I assume you know a little bit about it.
Nuns with Guns.
Yeah,
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Nuns with Guns.
Seen the poster.
Yeah. It's about 3 nuns who are losing their church. It's getting shut down, and they need to get the money, and so they decide to rob a bank to get the money back. So it's like a comedy. It's like a comedy, but a heartfelt story. One of my best friends wrote it.
Oh, nice.
And so like we were like, obviously, like when I saw that he got shortlisted, I was like,
that's awesome. Man. Yeah. Is this the first film that you're directing that you didn't write, or have you also done that before?
Loki might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
How does it feel? I mean, I know you haven't made it yet, but like right now, the story. There's a writer who created that world. Like, how do you go about working with a writer? Because I feel like that's something I don't think I do enough, or any of us really do enough. That's kind of essential.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That is kind of cool. And that's like, well, it's just the writer Charlie. He's like one of my best friends, and like we actually like kind of thought of the idea like together in the car. We were like thinking about like title ideas, and then at first for some reason we were like, what if like we make a movie called like Rabbis with Guns? We're like, well, that doesn't rhyme. That's not. And then we're like Nuns with Guns, and then we were like, oh, Nuns with Guns rhymes. It's like that's kind of cool. And then like we were just like, what if the nuns have to like rob something? And then we were just talking about that, and then like I went to go do whatever, he went to go do something, and then like a week later he was just like, hey, I just wrote it, and I like just submitted it, just so you like, and I was like, oh, okay, like cool, if it gets shortlisted, like that'd be great, like, and then it got shortlisted, and I was like, yeah, it's like this is the one. But the thing is, like, for collaborating with a writer, that I mean, it helps a lot to be really close with them, and like being friends with them, and just understanding each other, and just kind of like talking things through, I think is super important when working with, like, because like it's so easy to be like, well, this is my idea and I want to do this idea, but it's like, I don't know, for me it's like there's got to like you need to explain if you want to get like if you want like there to be something, you can't just be like I want it because I want it. You got to be like I want it because this is why, and then I think that it helps. Otherwise, then it's just kind of like not nice. I guess to just be like.
I mean, I feel like your whole approach is like to really be friendly and be nice with people, and that's like who you are, right? And I think that's so good, and that's so needed in today's world where it's like, you know, we're all people at the end of the day, and it's the best collaboration to be like kind to each other. And what do you think like kind of shaped that in you when you were growing up?
Well, I mean, definitely the way I was raised. But yeah, I think that like you don't get anywhere if like you're like just like an asshole. You know, you don't really get anywhere if you're just like a screamer or whatever. So I think that like I think friendship goes a long way, and more doors open when you're friendly. And so that's just kind of what I realized. Especially if you want to get into like the film industry. Like if you want to like, graduate and make indie films, it's like so much easier just to be like have full creative control, and that's cool too. But if you want to go into the film industry, it's like you're probably not going to be directing stuff that you wrote. You're not going to be able to choose the people you work with. So it's like being really open-minded about like working with other people and talking things through and not being like a hothead that like yells, I think will, help you out so much. That's what I think. But and then just because it's like the film industry is super collaborative, you can't kind of go into it and be like, I'm going to do everything myself, especially when you're starting out, because I feel like certain people can maybe if you have like star power, but like starting out young, trying to like make a name for yourself, you can't be like going in there like acting like you know everything. So
yeah, totally. And I really respect that humbleness. I feel like it's easy to just like be like you know it all and stuff, but I think as you have shown, it's like it really works when you're kind and friendly.
Yeah, you don't really get anywhere if you're like I know it all, especially when you don't know it all. And it's like there's a lot of people out there who like will know more than you, especially when it comes to like. But also I think you gotta stick true to like what you believe in. And I'm like saying, and it's like if you have an idea for something, it's like there are ways to approach that idea without being like it needs to be like this. There's ways that you can have your own voice and your vision. Like through kindness. I think.
Yeah, totally. And when you were making the films, like all the way up to like college, like what do you think taught you the most about filmmaking? Like what, helped you improve the most?
For me, what I've learned the most is to like show things visually. I grew up I guess growing up making films with like my siblings and friends who aren't actors, I tried to like have no dialogue in them.
Oh,
and I think that helped a lot with like telling stories visually. I mean like my application film had no dialogue. It like didn't even have like actors in it, so it was kind of like I don't know, I think that is what I learned the most about like that's something that like growing up and doing like little films on iMovie like helped teach me is like how can I say something visually without any dialogue, because I didn't have access to like good actors or like even good like sound equipment, even though like I probably didn't care when I was little. But it was just kind of like how can I be creative about, and it was also like a lot of like problem solving. I think growing up making like little films, it's like a lot of it was problem solving, and that's something that I think is super important if you're interested in directing. At least for me, it's like there's gonna be so many problems. It's like how can you go around it and make compromises, and I think that is what I took away the most when I was a kid.
Right. And nowadays with like problem solving, like in a way AI is taking care of a lot of things like that. And I do want to hear your thoughts on like ChatGPT and all that, because you can ask it to write you a script and it could, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like wondering, have you tried it or what?
For me, I like to use ChatGPT as a writer's room. It's kind of like and I like know that like they don't give like ChatGPT like doesn't give the best ideas, but sometimes like all you need is like ChatGPT to give like suggestions. And I think that using ChatGPT as like a tool rather than just like do it all, it's like it's no different than if I went into a writer's room and I said, here's my ideas, like like where can I go from here, and then all the writers give their opinions. I think it's very like I think it's the same, and it's like more accessible to be like ChatGPT, like this is my idea, like where can I go, and then it says this, and it's like, well, none of them are good, but I kind of like liked a little bit, and then it just kind of gets you thinking.
Gets you
so
going, yeah.
Yeah, it gets you going, and I think that like if you use it like that, I think it's like I think that works.
Yeah.
At least for me, that works. Yeah, just using it to kind of like help guide you, but not like take you there, I think is what I think is, yeah. But AI is getting like,
It's getting scary.
It's kind of
scary.
it's kind of everywhere now. But
Yeah.
yeah, speaking of like technology and just how fast everything's moving, like we were talking earlier about distribution and film festivals and getting your work seen. A lot of times I think as filmmakers now we really want our films to get into the top festivals and for that recognition to be the driving force behind getting the film to the next step. But at the same time there's also YouTube. There's also besides like also Vimeo where you can just put your video up and at times it can actually get a lot of views and reach more audience than if you went through the festival route. Like what do you think about that way of getting your work out there, and how should a filmmaker, including our listeners and people who are watching this who are making a film or have finished a film, like what would you suggest and tell them to get to maximize the potential of their film?
YouTube, it's a I think it's a good tool. I think that if you don't want to go through the festival route, I think it's a good place to put it to get recognition. And I think that just like for me at least, if you have something that you're like really you're sitting on something that like you really like and you think that it'll go places, I think that like what I was kind of saying about like you're only a few connections away, that like, you know, just reaching out to people, like maybe like all the professors at USC, they all know people who know people who know people. So just kind of, and they're all, you know, they would listen and stuff. So, you know, putting it out there and then being like, sending it to people and saying like, hey, can you take a look at this? Or can you send it to somebody who like would, you know, take a look at it? I think that like, I mean, when you're putting it through a festival, you're looking for somebody to see it, right? Like you're looking for like somebody who of maybe like higher, like some guy who's like, you know, higher tier, like you're kind of looking for them to see it. So I think that sending it to people who might know people who might even know people who, you know, whatever, I think that like, especially if like your family friends or if your friends and or your friends friends, you know, so I think that like just kind of like reaching out, like sending it out to people, I think is like, I think underlooked, but I don't know. I think I haven't really like done all that, but I feel like you guys have really like, I know like you guys have like made a lot of stuff and put it out there. So I don't know. Me personally, I haven't done a lot of that, but
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think we've done it, but I think still to this day, it's still a little bit, there's still a little bit of that mystery with it, where it's like, we really don't exactly understand how that works, kind of strange.
But I don't know. I think for me, it's like there's no like list on how like you do this, and then it's gonna become popular.
Right.
It's kind of just like you just gotta keep doing it, and then eventually, you know, someone's gonna see yours. I don't know. I mean, if you listen to like a pod, like interviews with like all these like famous people, kind of a lot of their upbringing is very similar, where it's like they got lucky by somebody saw their thing, and then that's where they are today, and then they gave them this, you know. So it's kind of like you can only do, like what I was saying, you can only do so much, and just like keep putting it out there, and then eventually someone's gonna see that, and then maybe reach out to you. And I think that like, which is why YouTube's good, I think, and just sending it out to people, and Vimeo and festivals too. I think that festivals are super helpful, because you know, you don't know who's in the audience, or you don't know who in the audience knows someone in the audience.
Right.
But it's kind of just like there's no like, if you do these things, like it will become, because it's just kind of like you just got to get lucky, I think. That's what personally.
Absolutely.
And when you made your 310 film, you know, what did your dad think of it? And what did your family think of it?
I mean, they liked it. I feel like he wouldn't, if he didn't like it, he probably wouldn't tell me, but he liked it. He liked it. My mom liked it. It was just like a lot of fun. But yeah, my dad enjoyed it. My dad enjoyed going to the screenings and stuff and seeing the films.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then and then my brothers, I don't know if you saw that. He liked that one too. Oh yeah, you were there.
I was there. Yeah, I was behind you.
Yeah, he liked that one too. So yeah, I think it's cool because he did 310.
Oh wow!
And
Okay.
so because he transferred, so he came.
Oh, interesting.
He was only here for his junior and senior year. But so he did 310 and 480. So
Wow,
and it's
okay.
like they were like the same as they were back then. You
Wow.
know?
Okay.
Like 5, but I think back then that you couldn't have dialogue in your 310s. But it was like
Oh wow. Okay.
it was like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and you work with a trio, and then the 480 was like I think it's like 12 minutes.
Oh, interesting.
So
Yeah.
so it's literally the same. So it's cool. It's kind of cool that he did 310, and then he's going to see his kids 310s.
Yeah. Full
And it's
circle
like
moment,
and
yeah.
they're like very like similar in the sense that like
Yeah.
not much has changed really about
Yeah.
Right.
the whole process of them. So
Yeah. Was Norris a theater back then, or was
I
it
don't
like
know.
new?
I know the film school wasn't. I thought the film school
Right,
was like
right.
he says like the film school was like a little barn. So, like,
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was like a and there weren't a lot of film students.
Was 480 like kind of the same way back in the day? Like, did
Well,
he?
A 480 back in the day was the because he's told me this, the professors look at all the 310s and then just select, and they're like, you're gonna make a 480, you're gonna make a 40, you're gonna make a 40, you're gonna make a 40.
Oh,
It's not,
interesting.
there was no like application
Oh, I
pitching.
see.
It was just
Yeah.
kind of like the professors saw the 310s and thought, okay, who should make a 480?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
did your dad direct a 480 or?
Yeah, he directed the 4. But
That's
back then
awesome.
you could write and direct your 480. So
Oh,
he
gotcha.
wrote
Oh,
he
okay.
wrote his and he also directed his.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So that class like evolved a lot, I guess, over the
Yeah.
years, right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how much of the 480 was, but I know 310 was pretty similar. But 480 like the same time length. But
Have you seen?
yeah, I
those-
mean,
yeah.
if you came to the film, if you came to PPO with like that script, that they would tell you to like leave the room because his I don't know if it's on YouTube. You could check it out.
Oh,
It's
really?
very
Uh-huh.
it's very not like I feel like today no one would want. There's just like a lot of there's like some guy jumps out of a bus that's moving.
Oh my god.
But it's
that's
cool
a-
because
yeah.
you see because he filmed all around USC. So when you
Oh,
watch it,
sick.
you can see like there's like the shrine. There's like so you can see all the landmarks.
that's funny.
But and he had like a car that like ran into trash, like swerved and like ran into trash cans off the side of the road, and he had like guns and he had like people throwing like bricks at each other. So and he had a pool. So it was literally
Oh,
it was a
wow.
480 nightmare.
That's
now,
Yeah,
nuts.
that
but,
sounds like.
but back then
Wow.
they were just
Yeah.
like,
They
all
could
right.
do anything.
Yeah.
That's sick. When you were making your films like throughout high school and even in like USC, like, did your dad ever help you with anything?
Yeah, I mean I always call him like for advice, like before I start like literally the mornings before like directed my 310, I'd like call him and I'd just be like, what are some things, like give me some advice, like what should I like do, what should I like look out for, what should I like really like whatever. So I'd always ask for advice, and I always send him my scripts, and he always gives me notes and
That's it.
stuff like that.
What are like 2 to 3 advice that
Well, yeah,
you found really helpful?
right before 310 was kind of like, I guess, the most serious production that I've kind of done, in the sense that like there was a lot of people kind of waiting to hear what I have to like, what I like people who like, I mean a lot of them were all my friends, but still like I have to give them instructions, and like the actors were like not like student actors anymore, like they were like professional actors, so it's like
Yeah.
they have to like, they're waiting for me to tell. So one of the big things that he told me was just kind of like you need to know everything. You can't just kind of like be like, if somebody asks you a question, you can't just be like, I don't really know, like because the whole thing is like, that's when the crew kind of like loses its trust in the director, is if you kind of don't know, and even if you don't know, you kind of have to just say that, like say something.
Right, something rather than nothing.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're just kind of questioning everything, you just have to be really like secure, because you're especially if you're like the director and there's people like listening to you, it's like they are listening to you to like, but if you don't even know, they kind of like start to all lose kind of like trust in the whole production. So just kind of like knowing what you want, knowing or having answers, I think is like one of the big things that he told me. It's just like have answers, and just kind of like yeah.
What do you think like makes someone like a great director?
For me personally, it's like being like charismatic. I think because being a director, it's kind of like you're talking to a bunch of different people, and just being like a people person and being able to like work with people, I think is the most like one of the most important things, because I don't know, like what my dad said is like directors, they answer questions all day because everyone's coming up to them asking questions, and so it's just kind of like knowing, like having answers and just being able to like communicate with people, I think is the most important thing, and just kind of like being a team player. Yeah,
right. That's definitely very true, and I think that's like a whole theme of a lot of what you display too, is like you are a people person.
Thank
right?
you.
You know,
I try to be. Yeah,
I'm sure your 480 set's gonna be like a blast. You know,
yeah, bro. You're shooting one, so
I'm
you
shooting.
can't come on set.
I might hang out one of these
if
days.
you guys rap early, you should
Yeah.
come. I mean, it's
Pull
gonna
to
be
the church, you
yeah,
know.
but that's
sick.
kind of like the main thing, is just being able to like work with people.
Yeah.
Because you can't be like, especially now, it's like out of fashion. Like I think back in the days, you could kind of be like a director that kind of just like
Right.
is more of like a screamer or whatever. But now it's like you kind of need to be able to like work with people and be, and then there's the whole like skill and talent aspect. But I think that being like a people person is just, it's really important.
Do you know the director Sidney Lumet?
Yeah.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men.
He has a book called Making Movies.
Oh, really?
And I was reading it, and he was talking about when he was trying to get one of the actresses to cry, he just slaps her over the face.
That's like,
I was like, what did I just read?
Yeah, I remember you sending me that. Yeah. That's insane.
And I think that like, didn't like Stanley Kubrick also have like some like
Wait, Stanley Kubrick, but also Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh,
There's
really?
a whole deal with him and I think the actress from Psycho or something.
Yeah.
Back in the
different
day.
time, I guess.
Different
but
time,
Wouldn't slide today.
Right.
No.
But
That was like the generation before like your dad's, right?
that
Like,
was the first golden age of film.
yeah.
And then the second golden age of film was like the 70s.
Dude, it's kind of crazy to think that like film was only like maybe 100 years old, right?
Yeah.
It's like a really somewhat of a new art form.
And it's like,
It really
it changes
is.
so quick.
It changes fast.
So cool though.
Yeah.
It is. And what are your plans after 480? Like, you know,
Like a
post
graduation?
graduation, yeah.
Well, we had to do that paper for 450.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in wanting to like work in the industry. The indie route is fun, and I think that like you can really accomplish a lot the indie route and like doing stuff independently. But I think my goal is I want to eventually be part of like a larger studio and be part of like the film industry. I mean, it's so rapidly changing, so it's like it might be like one completely different thing by the time I get to that point. But I guess my goal was, I'm also really interested in editing.
Oh,
So I want to try to get like a job as like an assistant editor or an assistant to an assistant editor or something
Yeah.
that's part of a larger studio. During that time I want to like write scripts and just keep writing scripts and hopefully sell scripts to make money. And I think that I think like just being around a big studio, I'm gonna meet people, and then I like realistically I think that like I'm not gonna graduate and like have like my first directing gig, and it might take like 10 years, it might take like 20 years, but like I just want to kind of like be in that, like be surrounded by that like world and just like meet people, and then hopefully one day I don't know, it's kind of like a rough plan, but it's just kind of like get my way into the larger studio while writing scripts, and then maybe even be able to like write a script that a studio wants, and because I wrote it I could say like, okay, like I'll direct it. And like maybe something like that where it's like I get, maybe like I keep writing scripts that like I make something that's like really good, and then have that kind of be my break and see where it goes from there. But I definitely want to do like the studio route, which is super different from like what a lot of people in film school want to do. But
What's your like ideal studio you'd want to work for?
I don't really have an ideal, like I'd be open to do whatever. I feel like Warner Brothers would be cool to work at.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds
Yeah, and they're, I think the co-CEOs of the presidents of production, they're the two people who greenlit like Mickey 17 and
Oh, really?
Sinners, and like two original films that
They are,
involve
yeah.
like really bold ideas.
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
it would
Sinners
be
is Warner Brothers.
yeah, it would be a good like entry to like into a world where the studio heads are actually greenlighting like
Yeah.
really original stuff,
Yeah.
and it's paying off. Like Sinners has become such a success,
Right.
and just going off of that, like how do you go about generating ideas? Like where do you find inspiration from, and how do you go about like the whole debate of originality versus like homage or whatever?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think a lot of my ideas come from listening to music, personally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think because I kind of when I come up with ideas, I come up with ideas like almost like backwards. Where if I'm listening to music, because I love like what I was saying, I love like music in films, whether it's like score, but also like,
Like soundtrack, needle drops.
and
Yeah.
Oh,
like
okay,
needle
yeah.
drops. So
Yeah.
I'll be like listening to music, and then I'll think like, what scene could go good with this story?
Ooh,
And then I think
yeah.
of a scene, and then I'm like, okay, now how did like who's this character? How did he get from there? And then I work from there. That's where I think I come up with a lot of ideas. I mean, I have like a notes app with like a bunch of ideas that's like haven't gone anywhere, but like
Yeah.
I'll like be listening to music like late at night or whatever and be like,
Oh,
that could be
this would
cool.
be cool, yeah.
Or like I'll even sometimes like I'll write on the final draft. I'll literally write like scenes that would take place in like a middle of a movie where I don't have anything that comes from like comes before or comes after. I just thought of the scene,
Yeah.
and I was like, just like I have those, and then that's kind of where I come up with like, inspiration. But to your point about like, what was it, art or originality?
Yeah, like how do you like? Cause we're so influenced by the stuff that we love.
Yeah.
Like, how do you stay, like, true to your own voice without like having to rely too much on the stuff that you see?
Yeah, I think that I feel personally that like everybody takes inspiration for something. I remember this quote that says like, "Good artists borrow, great artists
Good
steal."
steal, yeah.
Who was that? Was that
I think it was either
Vincent Van Gogh? No,
Picasso.
Picasso.
Picasso,
He's a
Van Gogh,
painter.
or I know Quentin Tarantino said something similar.
Did he?
Yeah, but
Because I know he takes a lot from.
right.
But it's
from,
like
other stuff.
you can't deny to yourself what creates inspiration, and I think that like everyone is inspired by something, whether it's like a painting or like an image or like a thing in a movie, where it's like, especially like you'll see when people are like pitching movies, they'll be like, think like Spielberg mixed with da da da,
Yeah.
and like I did the same thing when I was pitching 480. I was like, think like Guy Ritchie. So it's like,
Yeah.
I definitely like, you definitely get inspired from from other stuff. So it's just kind of like, just taking, I think I personally think it's like okay to just take, like inspiration from things that you see that you're attracted to, and then kind of like, don't take the whole thing, I guess, because then that's kind of like stealing, but
Right.
like have your own twist on it.
Yeah.
But I think it's like definitely okay to like, be inspired by something and be like, I want to have that. I want that character to like do something similar to like. I feel like everything has to come from somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't know. That's
yeah.
right.
We all got into this because we watched movies that inspired us. So I think it's kind of inevitable, but yeah, like you said, it's about adding your own voice and your own twist to existing, like, abstract ideas, and then making it stand out as your own.
Yeah.
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 Would you say you're like a set person, or are you like more of an office person?
Set. I love being set. I especially love being on like sound stages.
Oh, okay.
I love building sets.
Yeah.
And like if I could, I'd want to like do everything like on a soundstage. I just think it's so fun and just like it's so
Yeah.
like traditional,
Right.
and I love
Yeah.
and I like that. But definitely more of a set person than an office person.
Do you ever get burned out from set at all? Like if you're
Yeah.
on it like too much consistently?
Yeah, yeah, it's tiring, but I feel like if you're really interested in it and like super passionate about what you're doing, it's like that's like enough to keep you going. So it's like I do get tired sometimes, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like I could be doing that or I could be sitting in a cubicle, and I prefer to like be doing
Yeah.
that.
We have a question. So if you were given two choices, or if you were offered two jobs, one is line producing a studio film, and the other is being in a writer's room as a writer's PA for a studio television show or like a network show. Which one would you choose?
So the other one was like a network show.
Yeah, like maybe not even, maybe just like a writer's assistant for a feature.
Oh, I'd probably do the writer's assistant
Mm-hmm.
because I think that like, I mean, I hate producing. Me personally, I can't,
Gotcha.
especially line producer.
That's important to know. Yeah.
Especially a line producer where you have to like deal with like
all the
budgets
stuff,
and logistics. And it's like I'd probably be the worst person to do that. But I think that being in like a writer or being a writer's like PA in a writer's room would be like such a cool experience because you got to be around creative people. You get to learn a lot about like the process. I'd rather do that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wonder because being a director, right? You're always in the future, at least, like you're gonna be on set a lot, away from family and stuff, and like that is a life where you're kind of like, I don't know. So it's probably hard to have a stable like life, home life, and I wonder like how was it like when you were a child and your dad was making a lot of movies, and how did he balance that to have a life where he can spend more time with the family and stuff?
I mean, from what I could remember, like, I don't know, because I feel like for productions, when you're on set, what is it, like, how many weeks? It's like, for like a studio film.
I guess
like 3 to 4 weeks maybe with breaks in
I
between.
feel like it'd be
it really
a few
depends.
months, like 2
Like,
months.
maybe like 2 months.
It varies so much.
But
yeah.
it's like, it'd be like, maybe he'd be like on set for like 2 months, but then like the rest of the time he'd be like back here, back at home. So the thing, like, I guess that's a cool thing about like directing, I guess. Especially like, I guess you could be a director where like you're working on something and then you have your next job and then you have your next job and then you're like literally traveling the whole time. But at least for him, like when I was growing up, it was kind of like he would 2 months and then he'd be back for like the rest of the year and then the next year it's like 2 months. So it was like it was very balanced, I think.
That's good.
But I don't know what but see that was like towards like, when he was like with like the family stuff, like when he's younger and probably when you're starting out younger, you're probably working a lot. Like, I don't know. Like there was a period where I wasn't alive where he was like doing like Castaway and What Lies Beneath, I think. He did Castaway, What Lies Beneath, and then Castaway again because they had to take that pause for Tom Hanks to like grow a beard or whatever.
Oh.
Or no, get skin. Yeah, grow a beard and get skinny, I think.
Okay.
So like that probably was like a lot because it was like movie. So it's like I guess like when you're like younger, you're like doing a lot more. But when I was growing up, he was like it was pretty balanced.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm curious though. Like, so much of directing is also like going to pitch your ideas and then pitching to different people and then working it out, and so I feel like that takes up arguably more time than time on set. So I was curious, like, what was it like for your dad to like go through that process of like negotiating deals or pitching ideas or films to studios and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I really should talk about that more with him to like get like a better insight about like that type of world because like that is what you were saying, like a lot of the whole thing. But like to that point is like I think what I was saying about like being like or like directing and stuff, it's like you're always communicating, which means like you're always like on phone calls or on like chats and business chats. So it's like, and it's funny because like I'm like obviously like still learning like to be a director and all that kind of stuff, but like I've like definitely experienced that like it is a lot of like picking up calls and like answering emails and answering. It's like a lot of emails, a lot of answering texts and calls, and that's something I have to get like used to because I'm not that good at that. But like growing up, like it was like him like on calls a lot, but like still like it was a lot of times like especially like where he was in his career, it's like he could be at home and like take a call, and now with Zoom it's like he could do whatever,
Right.
but like so he was always like around.
Nice. And just going back to the career thing, because I think it is very uncertain about like getting a career in film. Like what makes you stay optimistic that that everything will work out eventually?
I don't know. I think that it's like easy to like be like, oh, it's all doomed, but I don't know. One thing that I like always like to think is like that the pendulum always swings back. Like it'll swing one way, and to the extreme where like nobody goes to theaters, no one wants to watch anything creative, and then I feel I don't know, but what I feel is like it's starting to go back to where it's like more original things are being made and people are going to theaters. Like when I went to go see Sinners, it was like the theater, like the Chinese theater was like it was like
Jam-packed.
it was like packed.
For me too.
And when I went to go see Warfare, it was like packed, and so I think that like that's like kind of what gives me hope, and keeps like and just like well like I don't think like film isn't gonna like disappear, and I think that the pendulum is gonna swing back to where like it's gonna go one way and it's gonna go another, and I feel like you see those type of trends with like all types of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean like, I think it'll go back, and that's I mean I don't know, but I hope that it'll go back, and that's kind of what keeps me going is like. It's not like doomed, at least.
Yeah, I think so. And like it's like that in football too. Sometimes the team will be the national champion
Literally.
and they'll be the worst team.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Yeah, and I think that you just gotta like stay optimistic about that stuff, and also like I don't know. For me, I think that like if you create something really good, it's like nobody can deny that you made like if you can nobody can deny that it's good, and I think that like if it's really really something good that like there's gonna be an audience for that. And I think that there's going to be, like, if it's something new and original, like, people, and yes, there's, like, been movies that, like, have been original that, like, haven't really landed, but I think that, like, I don't know, just going back to, like, Sinners and Warfare, those are, like, some, like, stuff that, like, just, like, I saw recently that, like, I was, like, blown away by, and I think that kind of gives me hope that, like, it's not, like, you can still make something, really, really creative and new, and there will be people who, like, are interested in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think people have been saying that Hollywood is like done and over for like the past, since like the beginning of film, really, and like there's always like a new trend or thing that keeps it going, but like makes it more interesting, or the whole film to digital and like sound and all of that. Like,
but even that, like you see people going back to film.
Yeah,
so
even
like,
then, it's like a cool mix.
Yeah, it became a point where like everyone was like, no more film, like doing digital, and then now there's a lot of people who are doing like Sinners was shot on film, I think.
Yeah.
IMAX.
Yeah.
And like people are going back to like IMAX, so it's like there's always gonna be. I think that like that's like inspiring. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like when figuring out your career, like what are some like advice that you've gotten from your family, to that helped you figure out where you want to go after college?
You know what I was saying, like just putting yourself out there. But that's kind of like what the advice I've gotten was just like relentlessly like just going after it and keep trying and just like I know it's like corny, but like don't give up. I guess that's because that's the advice that I've gotten. Growing up is just like you just gotta keep putting yourself out there. Otherwise, like there's not going to be something for somebody to like stumble upon and find and then reach out to you. And just like reaching out to people and like meeting people and stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's very true. Like the people that win at the end of the day are the people who just keep going.
Yeah.
They don't have to be the smartest, but as long as they have the endurance.
Yeah, exactly. Like
they'll
what I
make
was saying is like you just listen to like any like prominent figures like interviews and stuff. It's like how did they start out? A lot of it is like just like luck, but like they wouldn't have gotten that lucky chance if like they didn't like keep going to like that they didn't like chase that guy out of that parking lot or like stuff like that.
Yeah, just kind of like creating your own luck, and be ready when that like opportunity comes.
Yeah,
I think it's super important. Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, who are some like people you look up to that inspire you every day? And they don't have to be like film people, just people you look up to in general.
I mean, for film inspiration, I would say like Spielberg. Spielberg's a big inspiration for me. I would say Spielberg. Spielberg's one of my inspirations.
Nice.
I'm trying to think of like someone not in film, but like all I can think.
Are
of
you a
is
big
film.
Caleb Williams fan?
Well, I'm a Bears fan, so
yeah.
I'm a Bears fan, so yeah, I like Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb's good. Only if he does good this year.
Well, wait, why are you a Bears fan?
My dad's from Chicago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he grew up in Chicago, and we go a lot. So, I grew up in like California, but like, or like in Santa Barbara, but there was no like LA football team, so it was like, there was like nothing, so it was like Chicago, and I grew up like watching the games with like him, so it's always been like Chicago Bears.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, so you've been watching football since you were a kid, right?
Yeah, I love football.
Wow. Okay. should make a football movie. Would you ever do that?
Honestly, that would be really cool.
It would be cool. Isn't there a football movie, a football horror movie?
Called
produced by
Him.
Jordan?
Yeah. I saw the
that.
trailer.
It looks interesting.
Really cool.
Yeah,
That'd be
that would be interesting. But yeah, a football movie. I'm trying to think. They have like the longest yard. Or I would do like a movie that has something to do like what I wouldn't do like I don't know if I would do like I mean if the story's good, but like
Yeah.
I would do a movie that like maybe has a football scene or has something in it. But
Right. What position did you play
in high school, I
Yeah.
played wide receiver and free safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, you should join the flag football team.
And I know you guys play on the Brittingham field, right?
We do.
Yeah, that would be
Dude.
fun. I haven't played football in a long time, but I miss football.
Dude, me, you, and Mick gotta throw the football around something.
Who plays quarterback?
He does.
He does, Mick.
Mick is really good at
Really?
quarterback. He
That's
throws it
cool.
really well.
Yeah, he made a didn't he, or was it you who made it? Someone made a music video. I saw
The musical?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot,
the
you saw it?
musical.
Field?
Yeah, I saw.
That's so
'cause
fun.
Mick. I saw Mick was posting about it.
Yeah.
'Cause he was
yeah.
in it.
He was the main character.
Yeah, that's
That was
funny.
a fun time. That was
That's
290.
cool. Was that 290?
Sophomore year, yeah.
Yeah.
cool.
That was like the biggest 290 project I think I've ever
I
been
don't
part
know.
of and that I've ever seen. It's
was
like
fun-
really cool. It's
it's
like
fun time.
So you've
musical
known Mick for a
football.
while, and you were part of that.
I was like I was on
Assistant
set as like
director.
an AD, but also like as
Mhm.
part of the cast. I was like
Okay.
dancing and singing and everything.
awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I was just playing football with one of my roommates freshman year, and then he was like, "Yo, I have a flag football team. Would you want to join?" And then that's how I met.
And then he
Nick.
found out was he a composer back then, or did he?
He was, yeah.
That's
And I
like
didn't
so-
know that until like 3 months of playing football with him.
That's so cool. I
Wow,
mean, that's
that's
just
really
like that
cool.
just goes to show that like so many doors can just open
Oh yeah,
from just doing.
absolutely.
But also like to that point about like it helps to be doing other stuff than film
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like if you weren't playing flag football,
that's true.
then like if you were just like only film, and you
Yeah.
didn't like go out and play flag football, like you wouldn't have met Mick. And so it's
Yeah.
like stuff like that. It's like you really gotta like experience other stuff.
I totally agree with that, like 100%. I feel like sometimes it can get a little bit overwhelming when you're like writing all the time or on set all the time, that you really need that like third space almost, like flag football or some kind of sport or just a
Yeah.
hobby
Mm-hmm.
to like keep you somewhat like a healthy distance from the creativity or the hard work part of it.
Yeah, I mean, like it gives you like stories and like
That
gives you,
too,
like,
just
like,
experience in general.
Yeah, experience.
Yeah,
Like you have to like
yeah.
experience to like write. So you have to
Interesting
experience
stuff,
life to
right.
write life. So
Absolutely.
know.
Yeah.
And dude, something we do on this podcast is we have the previous guest leave a current guest a question, and the previous guest of this podcast, actually wrote a question that you might enjoy.
who was it? Or is that a secret?
It's a secret.
His
Oh,
name
okay.
shall remain.
He's a really good director
nameless.
though. But he said, if you could make a biopic on any historical figure, who would it be?
I guess a biopic on like the Rolling Stones would be cool, or like
That would be cool.
like the band of them, or like I know this would. I don't know if they've already had this. I know it'd be like controversial, but like a Michael Jackson biopic. I don't know. Was that has that been done?
I think somebody's making it, but then like
Someone's making it.
yeah, but then now it's like kind of stopped because of like a lot of different legal issues or whatever.
Oh, you know which would be a really cool biopic? Actually, this is my answer.
Okay.
And I think I read somewhere that they were trying to make it a Frank Sinatra biopic.
Oh.
Oh,
A Frank
you know
Sinatra
what?
biopic would be so
That
cool
is
because
good.
you would have the music and then you'd have the gangster, the mafia life because he was involved in the mafia.
No
He had
way.
he had like ties, and then he had really good music. So that would be a really good biopic.
That would
really
be
That
good.
could be
sick.
like a. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
that sounds like a.
You should
really
write
cool
that.
Like
idea.
a Frank Sinatra. Yeah, but I think I read somewhere that they were trying to do that, but then like his family
really?
or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, really?
I read somewhere because I was like, this would be so cool, but then a Frank Sinatra biopic would be actually really awesome.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's
Is Norris? Is that a name of a person?
Eileen Norris.
Eileen Norris?
Eileen Norris. I don't
That's
know who
the
that is
first-
though.
'Cause it's like what, the Frank Sinatra Hall or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Eileen Norris is, you know that like plaque on the side of the film school that has like all the names,
Uh-huh.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
through the arches,
Uh huh.
like
On the
towards
wall, yeah.
yeah, on the wall. There's Eileen Norris is on that.
Oh.
Oh, okay. See, to this day,
That
I don't really know
I don't
who
I
know
don't know
it
who
is.
that is, but that's the Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, Frank Sinatra biopic would be really cool.
That would be sick.
That's awesome.
Because his music's great, and it's like
Mhm.
I don't even know where he grew up. I feel like
I don't know.
is he like a New Yorker? No, maybe
That could make sense. Boston.
it would make sense, but
Yeah.
that'd be a really cool biopic.
Dude. Well, I'm excited to see you make that one day. You
Yeah,
know,
hopefully.
I'll have it.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're Tom Hanks in Castaway, and after all that endurance through nature, through sheer obstacle, you get back home, what are the first 3 movies that you would put on after surviving?
I guess I wouldn't want to watch anything with a plane crash or like an island. Okay, I'd watch my 2 favorite movies, The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, and then maybe I'd watch like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, dude, Rhys, thank you so much
Thank you guys
for coming
so
on the
much.
podcast.
Thanks for
so much
coming on.
fun.
This
Yeah.
is really fun.
Thank you, everybody.